Hello, Captain VFC here with another build analysis video, or BAV for short. This time looking at the 2022 Airfix Gloster Meteor F8 in 1/72nd scale. I have done an unboxing video of this, so just have a look at that if you want to see what is inside the box. As for the BAVs, rather than a step-by-step, me showing you every piece that I glue together kind of video, this is much more of an overview, a sort of post-review of the way that I made it, the experience that I had. I do urge anyone interested in this kit who likes the result to go out and buy it and make it for themselves, and you will experience every little bit glued into every other little bit as and when required. Now, a quick note on the construction order. Where I generally follow the instructions, I don't glue things together in necessarily the order you would expect, and there is a very valid reason for this. It is weight. It's a tricycle undercarriaged aircraft, meaning the smaller wheel on the centre line is at the nose rather than at the tail, and as such it requires weight. Obviously the real aircraft has a lot of weight in the engines and the nose with the person and the guns and everything. This is just plastic. So the instructions do tell you to put in some weight, 8 grams in this case. However, I always like to test as much as I can and have confidence that it will sit, rather than just rely on the instructions. So what I do in this case, and what I do with most of my aircraft where I can, is I build the interior components, I build the wings, I glue the tail plane to the fuselage, I do as much as I possibly can before cementing that fuselage together, so that you can just balance it, see how it's going to fit, and then boom, chuck a load of glue in, and everything sits right. I'm also going to go over a little history of the aircraft in a minute, and this is actually a good time to do it, because there is a lot of wing detail. A lot of this build seemed to be the inside of the wing. Just lots of sidewalls. You can see there on the instructions. You've got sidewalls, you've got front walls, bits of the engine interior. It was quite in depth. So whilst that's going on, we're going to go over to History Captain for a little bit of information about the real aircraft. Over to you. The Gloster Meteor was the first British jet to enter service, having been the direct development of jet pioneer Frank Whittle. It was introduced in the summer of 1944, but was originally forbidden to operate over German-held territory, in case the technology was captured. Now, of course, the Germans, 3 months prior to this, had already started operating their first jet fighter, the Messerschmitt 262, which was faster and more heavily armed. But, hey, don't give your prized possession to the enemy, I guess. The Meteor was certainly capable, although it's technologically closer to propeller-driven predecessors rather than the German swept-wing counterpart. The Meteor entered full production, and nearly 4,000 were produced in total, seeing service in Korea, and many of those silly little religious or regional conflicts that people seem to love getting themselves into. This version, the F8, saw the introduction of a longer fuselage, modified tail design, and an ejection seat for rapid and safe departure in the event of a non-compliant airframe. But technology moved on swiftly, and the Meteor was obsolete fairly quickly and replaced in RAF service in the mid-1950s by aircraft such as the swept-wing Hawker Hunter. Thank you there, History Captain, much appreciated. Now, we see the nose being assembled here. So the nose wheel goes into a separate nose component. So there's 2 nose sides. This is partly done, I believe, to accommodate other aircraft, such as the photo reconnaissance FR9 that has already been announced and released as a Airfix Collectors Club exclusive, which I do also have. So I'll be able to confirm full details in a future build with that. You will notice that I do not stick the nose on to the fuselage at this time. Even though I like to put things like the undercarriage legs on as early as possible on a tricycle undercarriaged aircraft, just as I said, to make sure it sits right, I didn't want to do it in this case because I also don't like spindly things sticking out, because I might catch it against something, drop it on something, and break it. So I basically assemble it without a nose, and the nose joins later. Still, the actual kit itself, being a 2022 tool, this will obviously be the first pressing of the tool. It's not really a pressing, is it? It's an injecting. The first injecting of the tool is very, very crisp. I saw no flash and very few fit issues, but I didn't say no fit issues. It feels like it's been over-engineered in a couple of aspects, particularly the wheels. Rather than have left wheel or left side of wheel, right side of wheel, and then cover on top, it sort of has a hole in one side and you have to squeeze it in and fit around, and it was just very, very tight. And it seems a little bit odd. It's almost like it was made outside of the manufacturing tolerances that they could. It would have been nicer to have had it simpler. I don't really see the benefit because of the way that they've done it, because instead of having a seam at the top of the wheel, which you would have had you done it conventionally with a little cover over the top, you instead get a seam on the side of the wheel. So it's kind of a bit pointless. Oh, moment of truth time. Does the aircraft sit on its nose? Ba-ba! So, onto the painting. The aircraft has already been primed with just a spray can of black, matte black. I think it's a Halfords one. And then brush painting with the Hataka set for the appropriate period. So that is extra dark sea grey or something like that. And then camouflaged in dark green, and underneath the rather unpleasant silver, in this case RAF high-speed silver, which is not very metallic. That is deliberate, so I will not accept criticism. It's not supposed to look like a metal finish, because the RAF painted it on using a lacquer mixed with like just a metallic base, and it's a rather unpleasant colour, and it's one that I try to avoid modelling. This is one of the reasons why I didn't make option A, the silver one, because an overall silver or high-speed silver aircraft I think is boring, because it looks like somebody's just crudely painted silver rather than an actual metallic aircraft. But I also chose option B because it's one based at RAF Horsham St Faith's, which is my local airfield, because I live in Norfolk, and Horsham St Faith's is now Norwich Airport, where there is a museum including a preserved Meteor F.8. I will try and chuck in some pictures where possible. Moving on to the decals, we come across an interesting issue. It doesn't exist. That number. Is that 10 something or other? It's not there on one side, but it is there on the other side. So they tell you to put 105 on, but they don't show you. I did decide to do the stenciling. It involved 153 stencils. I know more exist. I'm not saying that's the highest number ever, but it took me 6 hours just to put the bloody stencils on this thing. But of course, I know that I didn't need to. And the end result, as you can see here, honestly, I'm very, very happy with. It sits on its nose perfectly. It's had a decent coat of matte varnish, and I'm very, very happy. So as we watch it revolve, and we're going to go into a little slideshow of some pictures of it as well, I give this a solid yes out of 10. I would absolutely make another one. I would absolutely recommend it. I think it's a very good price for the size of aircraft that it is, and I will be looking forward to making the FR9. Is this the best Airfix kit I've ever made? Probably not. I would put the 72nd Hawker Tempest above this. I just found that more enjoyable. But honestly, there's so little between modern Airfix kits. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, click the notification bell if you want to be notified of when I release a new video, and if you want to watch me build these kits live, then feel free to follow me on Twitch, where I do a stream at least once a week of building the things that then later appear on YouTube. Once again, thank you for watching, and goodbye.